right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
We begin tonight with breaking news out of Maine. The man wanted in a mass shooting there is now dead. Good evening. I'm Brent Solomon. Authorities found Robert Card's body in the woods outside of Lewiston, the town where the mass shootings happened. Card is accused of carrying out 2 mass shootings that left 18 people dead Wednesday night. 13 other people were injured. Tonight, multiple sources saying Card shot and killed himself in the woods near Lisbon. That's about 8 miles from Lewiston. Within the past half hour, officials wrapped up a news conference confirming the extensive 2-day search is now over.
And with this search concluded, I know that law enforcement continues to fully investigate all the facts so we can bring what closure we can to the victims and their families.
Earlier today, we learned the names of the 18 victims, their ages ranging from 14 to 76 years old. Maine's deaf community is grieving 4 of its members who were killed in those shootings. This is a developing story. We'll continue to update you on air, online, and on the 5 on Your Side app. Well, get ready for a cold and wet weekend in the St. Louis area. This afternoon, we saw some rain over downtown St. Louis. And there's more heading our way over the next few days. Chief Meteorologist Scott Cotto now with the Weather First forecast. Scott, temps are cooling down a bit.
Oh, they are in a big sort of way tonight. We're already down to 51 degrees. That's about a 35-degree drop from where we were earlier today, 85. We had the sunshine. It was feeling like June this afternoon in St. Louis, partly cloudy. Then we saw those thunderstorms develop off to the north and west of St. Louis, and then they rolled into the metro area. If you were under this one, the one that went over University City and then rolled right through downtown St. Louis, there were some spots that ended up with about a ½ an inch to an inch of rain locally, but the airport only picking up 3/1 of an inch. So you had to get under one of the heavier cells. Tonight, those cells weakening south and east of St. Louis, but there are still some rumbles of thunder as you head south of Fredericktown over around the Perryville area, and even still a few lingering showers along with some patches of drizzle around the St. Louis area at this hour. We do think the trend is for us to dry out overnight, but some drizzle and scattered showers certainly for the next few hours. Soggy for Saturday night into early Sunday morning, then a break, and then Sunday night, yes, more rain's on the way, and the cold pattern is here. We just reinforce the cold air early next week. More on that and the freeze in a few minutes, Brent.
All right, thank you, Scott. New tonight, the Major K Squad asking for your help solving a murder in Maplewood. 5 on Your Side's Robert Townsend has new details about the young father shot and killed outside of his home.
I'm actually really sad because this was a really good neighbor with a big heart.
She's talking about Teron Vales. His neighbor says the 32-year-old lived across from her apartment in Maplewood with his 3 young boys and girlfriend.
Our families went to the bowling alley before, and he was just really a generous person.
Shortly after 5 Thursday afternoon, the apartment complex on Yale Avenue, just north of Manchester, became a crime scene. Neighbors say Vales had just arrived home when 3 men confronted him. They said they first heard an argument and then a single gunshot.
Actually, it was like a fight. He had a fight with somebody, and he was shot from the back, like in the back. And he was still laying on the ground when I actually came out.
Vales died at a hospital. Friday, Major K Squad detectives returned to the scene, spent hours talking to neighbors and looking for clues in the deadly shooting. This is Maplewood's 3rd homicide in a year and a half. This neighbor had safety concerns and asked us to not show her face.
Personally, I don't consider that it's like violent in this area. I never felt scared other than last night.
Police ask anyone with possible cell phone or surveillance video to come forward, hoping it will help them solve the crime.
He really loved his family, so I really feel sorry for them that it's not going to be able to have their father.
In Maplewood, Robert Townsend, 5 on Your Side.
And if you know anything about the deadly shooting, call Crime Stoppers at 866-371. Tips. Tonight, an armed robbery suspect is recovering after a Sauget police officer shot him. Around 2:30 this morning, officers responded to a robbery at the Moto Mart on Mississippi Avenue. Police say 4 suspects robbed a victim at an ATM and then drove off. Officers followed them into East St. Louis, where they abandoned the car and ran away. An officer shot a 19-year-old in the arm. He went to the hospital. The other 3 suspects are on the run. The Lincoln County prosecutor wants the murder trial of Pamela Hupp to be moved again. Today, Mike Wood's office says it will be refiling murder charges to find another location closer to Lincoln County. Last year, he actually agreed to hold the trial in Greene County, about 4 hours away. Hupp was charged with first-degree murder in July of 2021, accused of stabbing Betsy Faria to death back in 2011. This weekend, Kia is helping put St. Louis drivers at ease. The car company has a mobile clinic at the St. Louis Galleria, and it's to update the software on people who have Kias. The upgrade actually restricts the car's ignition system when someone tries to start the car without a key. The clinic is in response to a growing number of car thefts.
This is a good opportunity, and I love my Kia, I love my vehicle. I don't like the simple fact that the theft percentage was high on the Hondas and the Kias. So I'm glad that Kia's doing something for our community to get this taken care of.
The clinic will run Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. at the Galleria. To check if your Kia is eligible, look for this story under the As Seen on TV section of KSDK.com. People displaced from their Brentwood condos due to infrastructure issues will be able to return in the morning. Several people who live at the Brentwood Forest condominiums were forced to vacate on short notice. It was due to cracks in the foundation and plumbing issues. Renovations were expected to take up to 4 weeks, but crews were able to complete them in 1 week. Today, senior citizens forced out of their apartments following a fatal fire were able to move back in. More than 70 people had to evacuate the Touche apartments in Cahokia Heights on Wednesday. They were temporarily staying at the Cahokia Heights Fitness Center with the help of the Red Cross. An 82-year-old woman died from cardiac arrest following that fire. 5 others are now recovering in the hospital. The cause is under investigation. Today, the St. Louis Board of Aldermen voted on a measure that could streamline primary elections. Typically, primaries are designed to narrow down candidates to the top 2. Well, this measure is actually meant to remove meaningless elections. The board estimates the city spent an extra $200,000 on the runoff race between current board president Megan Green and Jack Kodar in 2022, even though they were the only 2 in the running.
That was cheap because we reduced the number of polling places and we eliminated some costs that we would have usually added in there to make sure voters knew what's going on. But essentially, if an election like that would happen again, it would save taxpayers' expense, 100%.
The mayor still has to approve the plan. If that happens, the measure would be in place by March of 2025. Still ahead, the Gateway Arch returning to the silver screen. How you could land a role in the film that's being shot right here. Well, background extras are needed for a movie that's being filmed in St. Louis. Next month, the film On Fire will begin production, featuring actors William H. Macy and John Corbett. It's based on the book by John O'Leary, who recounts his life after surviving a fire. The production crew had to change state law to get their film made here because of one character.
One of the primary characters is the Arch, and are these old buildings and this rustic community and these rustling leaves outside. And it's this tough, beautiful town that sometimes feels like we're letting others down, but ultimately rises to the occasion, stands up and makes a difference.
Filming will take place in St. Louis. It begins on November 6th. We have a link for you so you can apply. That's in the As Seen on TV section of KSDK.com. Well, there's just a few more spooky nights before Halloween, but St. Charles is already celebrating. Here's a look on Main Street where their pumpkin glow was in full swing. Hundreds of glowing pumpkins decking the riverside streets and the shops there for this free annual event. While there's no trick-or-treating there, costumes are still encouraged. The pumpkin glow continues tomorrow night from 5 until 9 o'clock. Chief Meteorologist Scott Cano now with your weather first forecast. You know, Scott, a lot of outdoor activities tomorrow, and I think people might be pretty surprised.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot colder. In fact, we won't be any warmer really tomorrow than we are right now. I mean, we went from 85, tying a record high today, back to 60 in about an hour and a half. It was almost like you passed the state trooper on the highway. It got cold that fast. And now we're down to 50 degrees in St. Louis. And the showers have pushed mainly south and east of St. Louis. So we still have a couple of showers around town and some patches of drizzle. But anything that's really substantial, making some rumbles of thunder, and with the downpours, that's farther south and east that amounts to anything. What we're seeing around the metro area, sure, we're going to have a few more of these for the next couple of hours. That transition sticks with us here as the colder air continues to work in. See the surge of moisture down here in Texas? Watch that. That's for later tomorrow. And then we're tracking the cold air here, north and west of us, really surging in through the Dakotas. Teens right now. Your current temperatures across much of North and South Dakota, back into parts of Montana. That really cold air gets here for the beginning of the upcoming week. That's when we'll be dealing with our first hard freeze of the season, 33 Monday morning, and we'll have a potential of a freeze mainly north and west of St. Louis. We're all going to have a freeze Tuesday into Wednesday for sure. That will be our alert day here as we go into Tuesday morning, because temperatures even in town are expected to drop back into the 20s. The growing season is going to come to an end, so if you have potted plants outside, you'll want to get them in off the patio, off the deck, and make sure you disconnect that garden hose and drain it, because the water in it will freeze when it goes down into the 20s. Here we are tomorrow afternoon. Most of tomorrow morning, there won't be a whole lot going on, but through the afternoon into the evening, that moisture that's down to our south surges back towards St. Louis. So it's a chilly evening in St. Louis. Occasional rain, occasional showers. Probably get a break here early on Sunday morning, and then the next surge of moisture rolls in. Notice we're not that far away from wintry precipitation off to our north and west. In fact, wouldn't be surprised if we catch a wet snowflake at the tail end of this overnight Sunday night, very early Monday morning. What this means, though, is that it is a cold, windy evening and damp. 9 o'clock, City SC taking the pitch over at City Park, Sporting KC. These playoffs, it's going to be cold, lots of layers, and be prepared to deal with some wet weather. One weather alert day here on Tuesday for the hard freeze Tuesday morning. As we drop into the 20s, we'll have another one again on Wednesday morning. Of course, the trick-or-treaters, it'll be dry, but my goodness, wind chills will still be in the 30s, probably around 30 Tuesday evening when the kids get out there.
Scott, I pulled out my coat and my umbrella. I don't think they're going anywhere anytime.
No, you're going to need them for just a little bit.
Thank you, my friend. Well, that's all for your news at 10, but don't worry. It's now time for 5 on your sideline.